What's going on, people? Your boy man Mike here, coming at you guys. Another news update. Um, this is hella interesting, to say the least. That out of all the people that could quite possibly be named in a trade with the Atlanta Falcons, this guy is named as a possible trade destination for the Atlanta Falcons. I find that extremely funny. We're going to expand on it, kind of give your boy K-Style spin to it later on tonight on the six-man combo. So you guys head over to six-man K-Styles. The link is already pinned in the comment section, so you guys can check it out for yourself. We're going live exclusively on the six-man K-Styles channel. Y'all already know what time. All right, do I have to say what time? Well, no, we might have some new people who checking it, but okay, it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Tuesday night, six-man K-Styles. We're going to expand on this and a couple other topics, but got to get this out. But this is something that I've been thinking about for. Had to give it a couple hours. I know I told a few people that I would go on at 2 o'clock. But I want to kind of be prepared and not push out a bunch of bullshit. Okay, just put out a bunch of bullshit and lead people the wrong way, with misinformation. I like to be on top of my shit. So the question is whether or not. All right, first of all, I want to just give my perspective. Okay, as a fan first. Mike, would you want Roquan Smith on the Atlanta Falcons squad? Take out your obvious bias as a UGA world champions, national champions, Georgia Bulldogs. Oh, and it still fuck Stetson Bennett. I don't give a fuck about that little short ass midget, but that's neither here nor there. But national champions, Georgia Bulldogs. My obvious bias for the national champions, Georgia Bulldogs. Yeah, national champions. We beat Alabama. Yeah, those national champions. Alabama lost to Stetson Bennett, national champions. The Jordan Davis led defensive team. Yeah, those are national champions. But like I said, that's neither here nor there. Would I want Roquan Smith on the Atlanta Falcons? Well, there's a answer to that. There's a there's a real answer to that, and the answer to that question is yes, 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 yes. I will want Atlanta Falcons. Who wouldn't? All pro linebacker, good skill set, all around running back, linebacker. Who wouldn't want Roquan Smith on the team? Well, here's a little plot twist for you guys. We already got Roquan Smith. Yeah, we already got Roquan Smith. Yeah, a little plot twist for y'all. We already have Roquan Smith. Why would Mad Mike say the Atlanta Falcons already have Roquan Smith when Roquan Smith just requested a trade from the Chicago Bears? Why would Mad Mike say we already have Roquan Smith? Anyone of you guys want to take a wild guess? Just a wild guess. There you go. Six-man K-Styles. See, this is the reason why you need to head over to six-man K-Styles. The boys is right here. We just right here. Two pieces of the ball. We right here. Roquan Smith is Debo. Debo is Roquan Smith. These guys are essentially the exact same talent, exact same person. The exact same skill set. But there's a major difference. There's a major difference that separates these guys. One major difference. Well, Deion Jones is making currently, if I'm not mistaken, about 12 to 13 million. Could be a little higher than that. But he's making, as a matter of fact, let me just get the numbers real quick. Deion Jones is currently making about, $20 million cap hit this year, 24 dead cap. All right, so he's making about $20 million. Well, somebody is asking for a contract extension. Who is that guy? Let me guess. Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith is currently asking for a contract extension. The guy that we currently have on the with the Atlanta Falcons is currently making $20 million himself. So why would Mad Mike say what he's about to say, right? Why would Mad Mike say what we're about it? $20 million for Deion, and Roquan Smith is currently one of the top, if not the top middle linebackers in the game. So if you go to his counterparts, guys like Darius Leonard is currently making about $20 million himself. You kind of see where I'm going from here, people? Yeah. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me pull up Leonard's numbers. Because like I said, I want to be I want to be honest with you guys. Okay? Just 100% honest. Currently making, wow, the cap hit is about $30 million. Well, excuse me. Well, damn. So this guy's making damn near what? 20. You got Leonard. Salary cap base. That's about, cap hit is about 11 million. Dead cap 34 million. So this guy's making a pretty penny. Okay. This guy's making. He signed a 5-year contract worth $99 million. 5-year contract, about $99 million. So when you have a linebacker in Roquan Smith, who is currently asking for a contract extension, you have two linebackers that's going to make $15+ million on one squad. If you cannot come to a deal with Deion Jones. One of the things that a lot of people are not thinking about is, well, you can kind of kiss goodbye free agency. Well, you can kiss goodbye two things. Free agency, because you got to re-sign A.J. Terrell. I don't think anybody wants to lose A.J. Terrell. You have to re-sign Chris Lindstrom. I don't think anybody wants to lose Chris Lindstrom. Two, on the exact same line, you got a third problem. Well, that third problem is Caleb McGarry. If Caleb McGarry becomes a Pro Bowler, now we got a real big problem now with the Atlanta Falcons. That's more money that's been allocated to the team that takes away from the defense. So, which in turn leads to a problem. Well, the Atlanta Falcons have had issues on the offensive line. So the question that I have for you guys is whether or not the offensive line is more important than the linebacking core on this team. That's the question that I have. Which one is more important to this Atlanta Falcons team right now? The offensive line or the linebacking core? Atlanta Nation, I think the offensive O-line is more important. Vontae Cookie by nature, C.J. Hillard, offensive line is more important. And he says we had since he was in middle school. Cassie Boyette, like he says, she says the offensive line. I mean, it looks like everybody is saying offensive line. Michael says the defense and our quarterback scramble. Yeah, man. See, this is where we going. So now we create an issue with the offensive line. And this is something that has plagued us for the last 15, I could say 10 years. And I could say, honestly, about 10 years, the Falcons have had offensive line issues protecting the quarterback. And that goes back to the latter years of the Michael Vick era. We've had issues protecting the quarterback. So if we're having issues rebuilding the offensive line, if we have a lack of talent on the offensive line, trading for a guy like Roquan Smith would set us back. Now we have to use more money and more assets in the middle to late rounds, and we got to go try to find a diamond in the rough. Where there's a problem with trying to find a diamond in the rough. The Falcons' offensive coaches, as it stands now, they have yet to show that they are capable of developing an offensive line. So if you haven't shown the capability of developing an offensive line as it stands now, couple that with the inability to have a sustained running game, you don't have the draft picks that's going to take to get that. So that takes away from free agency. That takes away from the defense. If you trade for a guy like Roquan Smith, who's going to allocate, he's going to his position in the market right now for linebackers is somewhere between $17 to $20 million a year. It's going to be somewhere between $17 and $20 million a year for one position. Well, the Atlanta Falcons have yet to do two things right now. The Falcons have not shown that they can build an offensive line. They have yet to show that they can build a solid pass rush. And the third one is they've yet to prove that they are good coaches. Outside of Dean Pease, no one has shown that they are capable of developing talent and developing a championship cohesive unit. Nobody. Outside of Dean Pease, that's it. We're talking about championships. So, why would a team that is currently in a stage of rebuild, I say retool, but it is what it is. Why would a team who's in a stage of rebuild don't know what Rashard Evans is going to be? We have no idea what Rashard Evans is going to be. We have no idea what Troy Anderson is going to be. We have no idea what Michael Walker is going to be. We have no idea what Ogundeji, Honor Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone, Marlon Davidson. All these guys got so many question marks on them. Let's just say this. What if all those guys end up failing? Let's just say all those guys don't live up to the quote-unquote potential. Where are you going to get someone to help Roquan Smith? That's the question. Where are you going to get help if you were to trade for Roquan Smith? Where are you going to get the help? So you don't have the money. You have players that are not living up to their expectations. Where are you going to get the money, people? That's the question that we have. And I'm going to get to that, Kenneth. I'm going to get to that about his coverage skills. That's the question that we have. If we were trading, we were trading for a guy like Roquan Smith, and again, the guy's a very good player. Make no mistake about it. Terrific player, wonderful player. I would definitely want him on my team. But we have this saying, make it make sense. And this is where I'm trying to make it make sense. I'm not trying to sell you a pipe dream. I'm not trying to tell, all right, yeah, this is, if we do this and this and this and this and this, that player, we won't have to worry about Roquan, you know what I mean? But that's another issue that we have. If those guys develop the proper way, and it may be worth our return. But when you have a team that's currently constructed the way the Falcons team is, that you have a ton of question marks. So if a team with a ton of question marks are being ranked at the bottom of the league in almost every category, say the Falcons is the worst team. They say they have the worst roster in the league. So if a team that has, according to several experts, a team that is ranked the worst roster in the league, why would we give away a Deion Jones who is a proven player for a proven player that's going to make more money, and essentially we're going to have to give away our draft picks for him? So no longer we have the hopes of building towards the future. Why? Because you gave away your first round pick. Because at this point in time, I don't think Chicago is going to want anything less than the first round pick for Roquan Smith. An all-pro linebacker, you can kiss that shit goodbye. If you trade for Roquan Smith, the Bears are going to want a first round pick. So you don't have a first round pick, and that puts even more pressure on a guy like Arthur Smith and Dean Pease to hit home runs with these guys in the later rounds. That puts even more pressure on guys like Marlon Davidson, who obviously aren't first round picks. Guys like Isaiah Oliver, who obviously these guys are not first round talent. guys like Michael Walker, who obviously isn't a first round talent, it puts even more pressure on these guys to succeed. So now you got a bunch of players who are ranked mid-round players. These are your starters. And you put even more pressure on these guys to play well because you gave away your first round pick to Chicago for a guy that's playing with a bunch of scrubs. No disrespect to these guys. But there, a lot of these guys were never going to be drafted in the first round that's currently on the Falcons. These guys were drafted in the middle rounds for the most part on the defensive side of the ball. So we got the exact same problem that we had before. We had a Hall of Fame quarterback in Matt Ryan. We had a Hall of Fame wide receiver in Julio Jones. We had a Pro Bowl wide receiver in Calvin Ridley playing with a bunch of trash. Where do we learn, people? Where do we learn? That's the problem that I have. Where do we learn from our past mistakes? Yeah, we got a bunch of superstars. We got a superstar linebacker, but what about the depth on the team? What about the second, third guy as a pass rusher? You know, what if we got a guy that goes down? Let's just say Grady Jarrett goes down. God forbid it happen. What if Grady Jarrett goes down? Who do we have that's gonna come in and replace Grady Jarrett? Can we honestly say that we believe in Marlon Davidson? Can you honestly say that you believe in D'Angelo, Honor Ebiketie, Ogum Deji? Can you honestly say that you can put these guys in and they fill in Grady Jarrett's shoes? Do we have anybody on that defensive line that's capable of filling in for Grady Jarrett if he comes in? That's the problem. That's the stuff that we're talking about. So I think this is, and I don't want to go too long on this, but the issue that I have with this, which is no one has said, I'm kind of, baffled that a lot of people haven't said this. They've not even really thought about it. You're looking at a team that's essentially had that problem. The Chicago Bears went out and made one move, and they gave away 3 first-round picks, I believe, for it. Y'all probably know where I'm going with this. The Chicago Bears went out and paid $100 million for Khalil Mack. I think it was 3 first-round picks for Khalil Mack. One of those picks, and I think one of those picks ended up becoming Roquan Smith. They end up signing guys like Danny Trevathan, and made a couple of other. I think Mitch Trubisky was one of those guys as well. They signed a bunch of free agents. They had a pretty good defense, but these guys ultimately failed. Okay? Why? Because they built a team off of one guy. They didn't necessarily have a plan for the entire team or the entire defense. They was banking on the fact that Khalil Mack was a superstar, a mega star, but the team never had balance. And then they went out, signed a Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn played well, but again, there was still no balance on both sides, either side of the ball. You had an elite front 4 and elite front 7, but those guys couldn't overcome the mistakes from the secondary. Yeah, Chicago had one of the worst secondaries, even with that top defensive front seven. So yeah, they had a great pass rush, but when you don't have the necessary pieces around it to have that balance between secondary front seven, then what are we really doing? We put all this money into one player. They put all their eggs in one basket because they thought Khalil Mack was that missing link that was going to get them to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they had a top-ranked defense, but guess what? They still lost big games because they couldn't cover. They couldn't score points. Mr. Trubisky was a turnover machine. Didn't have a consistent offensive line. The offensive line is probably the worst in the league right now. So yeah, you got Khalil Mack. Yeah, you paid him damn near $200 million, but it failed. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. So this is why I'm saying to myself, if it didn't work for the Bears, why the fuck should we bring in a Roquan Smith, get rid of our picks, and sign him to a $20 million contract? Why is that going to work for me? Why is that going to work for the Atlanta Falcons if we end up doing the exact same thing Chicago did? Because that's exactly what we're going to be doing if you trade Deion Jones to the Chicago Bears for picks. And who's to say they're even going to want an older, albeit that he's 2 years older than Roquan, who's to say that they want a Deion Jones? So now you traded away your picks for a guy like Roquan Smith. You still don't have a pass rush. Your offensive line is still up in the air. You don't know if your running game is going to be better. And I'm talking about 100% sure. You do have no idea if this offensive line and this running game is going to be better. We have a pretty good idea, but we don't know for sure. So we're right back in the same boat that we said that we weren't going to do. We're going to develop our own players and leave everybody else's trash. Do I have to bring up the long list of Falcons free agents that we brought in from other teams that didn't quite do what we thought they would do? Guys like Tyson Jackson, even though that Tyson Jackson was a pretty good run stuffer, but outside of that, what the fuck did he do for us? Gear 5 Corey doesn't move the needle for the Falcons. And that's where the issue is. How do the Atlanta Falcons win this trade? For anybody that feels as though like the Falcons should make this trade, how do the Falcons win with this trade? If they potentially trade for a Roquan Smith, either for a Deion Jones and some draft picks or just draft picks together. I don't understand how the Falcons win this trade. I don't understand why the Falcons would make that trade. For a couple of reasons. It cancels out everything that you did with the draft, especially with your linebackers. If you're trading for a Roquan Smith, you're telling Troy Anderson, I don't believe in you. If you're bringing in Roquan Smith, you're telling Michael Walker, I don't believe in you. And all this talk about Dean Pease and him saying that, players' IQ, like their mentality is very important, goes out of the window. Because you're saying to those players, yeah, I believe in, but This is Roquan Smith over here. I'm gonna give him your spot. Now you're hindering the growth of Arturo Anderson before he even gets on the field, because you made a trade for Roquan Smith. Not only that, you got Deion Jones, quote unquote, potentially with an attitude. You got Rashawn Evans, same issue. You brought him in thinking he was going to compete for a starting job. He wins the starting job, and forget you. Wait, I'm about to give up all my picks for Roquan Smith and then give him the money that you working hard for. How do you explain that as a coach? Oh, you talking about everybody coming in and working for their position, competing for a job. These guys compete hard for a job, and then you bring in a guy that didn't even compete for the job and give him $20 million on top of it. Because that's exactly what you're going to do. The Bears are not, Roquan will not, and the Bears will not trade him if he didn't go to a team that's going to end up, signing him to a contract extension. Roquan is not down for that. So I don't understand how this works in the Falcons' favor. And like I said, Cookie, Roquan plays Mike and Rashawn plays Mike. They refused to draft a first-round pick on the defensive line. I mean, I don't know about refuse. I think they just, when you got a Grady Jarrett, a guy that's like, they want experience. They're trying to build this team, build the depth on this team first. And drafting a guy that high, I don't think they're in this draft. There was a guy that like set himself apart outside of maybe. I don't even believe in Trayvon Walker like that. I think he has talent, but I don't think he was that far away from a lot of edge guys in it. Aiden Hutchinson, I thought he was pretty good, but I don't see him as a prospect like a Mario Williams, Julius Pepper type of guys in this draft. So I wouldn't have done it either. So I don't think the Falcons refused to draft a first a lineman. You gotta look at what you already have here too. You already had Marlon Davidson. You had Taquan Graham. You got Grady Jarrett. You got a couple pieces there. Ogum Deji, you already had him. So you had 4 young guys that you could quite possibly build upon. That may be something one day. So I don't think it's necessarily Falcons refuse to. I just don't think there was a guy in this draft that said, all right, he's a bona fide number 2 or a top 5. I don't even think Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker was that good to be even go in the top 5. That's just my personal opinion. Good prospects, good athleticism, great combine numbers, but I'm not sure if those guys are top 5 worthy picks. Just my opinion. And D. Coleman, trading and signing Roquan would be terrible for morale. They've been preaching competition all summer, and you can't undo. Like, look, yeah, and see, now you lose your message. Everything that you've been talking about, everything that you've been saying, that guys, we're gonna give everybody a shot to compete for a job, and then you end up trading not only for a player, but you trade away picks. I don't know how you explain that as a coach. That yeah, we believe in you, but we bring in somebody to take your job. I don't know how the hell you say that. I don't know how you say that to a player that you drafted. All right, like a Troy Anderson, aka Mr. T1000. I don't know how you do that. You look those guys in the eye and said, yeah, I believe in you, but and then it brings into question, all right, so if you were going to end up trading Debo to Chicago for Roquan, why the fuck did you take all this time? Debo could have been on gone. Now it brings into question, do you guys even know what the hell you doing? Because not only you could have been got rid of Deion Jones, you accrued a lot of dead cap problems trading away at Deion Jones, and you only got one guy back, and you lost picks. Like I said, it brings so much into question when it comes down to trading for a Roquan Smith. The Falcons are not a running back away from competing for the playoff. The Falcons are not an offensive lineman away from competing for a playoff berth. The Falcons are not a linebacker away from competing for a playoff berth. The Falcons need a couple of things to go well in this season for them to be a playoff team. One, they got to have a solid run game. And two, they got to have a solid pass rush. Yeah, we got good corners. We got terrific corners. I think we have a terrific secondary. I think it's the strength of the team. But the Falcons are not one player away. The Falcons are not one player away from competing for the playoff. I think we can all be, honest about ourselves when it comes down to that. Can they quite possibly do it? If everything that I just said, the running game, the quarterback, Marcus Mariota, he's found himself and he found his groove as a quarterback. The offensive line plays well. We got a solid running game, and our defensive pass rush is much better. The Falcons can easily sneak into the playoff if all of those things happen. But we don't have that. The Falcons don't have that. We're not one player away from the playoffs. So this brings into question, what the hell are you doing? You giving away all our draft picks for one player. We're not even one player away from being a good team. We're a team right now with a lot of question marks. And you giving away picks. It makes no sense. So if you got anybody, content creator, telling you this is a good deal, if the Falcons trade for Roquan Smith, they smoking crack. Okay? You're a motherfucking fool if you think trading for Roquan Smith is a good idea. It's fucking retarded. And I want Roquan Smith. I would rather take my chances on him going in free agency and not signing that contract with the Bears than trading away assets to get that one player that we're not one player away from contending for a championship. Now let's be honest, that's ultimately what you are doing. You're saying you're one player away from contending for a championship, and the Falcons are not one player away from contending for a championship. Anthony, let's just not bring that up again because I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say this about that deal. Arthur clearly said he never met with Deshaun Watson. I don't know why this quote unquote rumor is still out here, but the man clearly said he did not meet with Deshaun Watson for a potential deal. So you believe whatever you want to believe, but that's something that I just find funny. If the man said he didn't meet with, and he was just listening to a deal, which you're supposed to do if you're a general manager, if you're a head coach, if you're a team president, you're supposed to listen to deals. You're supposed to listen. All right, if this is Deshaun Watson, he's going to be a potential free agent or he's on a trading block, why would I not listen to that? So let's just keep that real. Anybody who sit down to listen to Tom Brady and see, all right, if Tom Brady is, quote unquote, on the trading block, who the hell wouldn't listen? Who the hell wouldn't call to say, all right, yeah, let me see what Tom Brady talk about? What about Von Miller? If Von Miller is a free agent, why would I not listen to Von Miller? That's just great business. That's how you build championships. That's how you build teams. They said you had one happy linebacker and like 9 others who don't trust your word. That's what we're talking about. You gotta be a man of your word. If you're saying that everybody gonna come in here and have a potential to compete for time and space, contract, money, and then you end up trading for a Roquan Smith, all these players gonna look at you like, yeah, this dude full of shit. Can't believe nothing he's saying. He said we were gonna come in here. You sold us on the dream. I could have been with another team and potentially got playing time and showcased my skill set. But no, I fucked around and came to Atlanta and they ended up trading for Roquan Smith. And now I got one more year, 1 year that I could have been with another team to prove myself, and I just wasted a year in Atlanta knowing damn well they was going to trade for Roquan Smith to begin with. So now your selling point in free agency is complete hog shit because now players can't trust you, and trust is a big issue. Roquan, like Rashawn Evans, like we believe in you. I think we gonna make you inside linebacker, the left inside linebacker, the starting middle linebacker, and you're gonna compete for a job to come, kind of resurrect your career. Meanwhile, in the back, you got guys, you got Terry Fontenot and Dean Pease up here concocting a brilliant scheme to bring in Roquan Smith. But you just sold this guy on a starter position, and now with one move, he's back on the bench. I don't know how you do that as an organization and as a team. You share these guys, opportunity, and you turn around and trade. It's just not like I said, it's just not good business. Who's to say that those other guys wouldn't still fight to get their job? Is the NFL not like we're going to keep every player we draft? What is it on? Because they suck already, because they're not superstars, that they like your word doesn't mean anything because they're not superstars? That's what the fuck you saying? Because that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like, well, fuck your feelings, fuck your word. You ain't damn Deion Jones, or you're not Grady Jarrett, or you're not this person. Your word means nothing. Our word to you means nothing. That's fucking bullshit. That's not how you keep team morale. That's not how you sell teams. That's not how you build toward the future. That's not how you build a championship team. By saying fuck your feelings, you ain't that damn good to begin with. Who the fuck don't come to play with you if that's your fucking attitude? You ain't Deion Jones no way, so I don't know why you upset. You gotta stand for something. You're not losing the locker room if you bring in Roquan. That's fucking bullshit. Get off the dick, bro. Okay? I understand why people will want Roquan. I understand why you would want, and I would run a Roquan Smith on my team. But we're talking about team morale. What if, let's just be honest, let's just put this in real life situation. What if you got a new job, all right, and they say, I'm going to pay you $20 an hour with overtime. $20 an hour with overtime. And you good for a couple of months, and you making good money for a couple of months, and then here they go, sorry, sir, we hired this new guy, and, albeit that you were a great employee for us, we're gonna get rid of you and bring him in for $15 an hour. How would you feel? The same principle. They fired you and then gave somebody else your money. And you trying to tell me that you won't be in your feelings? Come on, bro, stop. Let's stop it. You can't do that as a business. Look, I don't do fucking opinions, okay? You should know that bullshit by now. I don't do the fucking opinions. Fuck opinions. If you can't prove that your logic is how business actually works, then you're just your opinion. We don't do opinions around here. If you can't prove that it will work, then what are you just doing? You just talking. That's not how NFL goes. It gotta make sense. Far too many people think that their opinions, because you saying something, it's actually a good idea. Well, you gotta prove to me and prove to everybody else that this is a good idea, or what's the point? You just running your mouth. Can't be hiding behind, oh, my opinion is my opinion. Well, your opinion is stupid. If you can't prove it, it's stupid. What are we talking about? My opinions are not based on what I'm saying is based on actual things that have actually went down. Because if we make that deal, let's just say make that deal. Let's just say, we make that deal for Roquan Smith. All right? Follow me here. We make that deal for Roquan Smith. He gets hurt year one. And we still paying the guy $20 million to be hurt. Let's just say we make that deal for Roquan Smith. Let's trade him. Let's trade our first round pick. Let's trade our second round pick. Or perhaps a third. Let's make that deal. Roquan Smith get hurt. What do the Falcons have left now? You without Deion Jones. You without your first round pick and your second and third round pick because you made that one deal. Where are the Falcons now? Where are the Falcons now if Roquan Smith was to get hurt? How would this team be? And let's be real with each other. The point of making trades and adding people is to get better. When you trade for a guy, you're saying to the other team, I'm going to get you before you get me. So you're looking for the best deal for you. Roquan Smith coming here and getting hurt does nothing for the Atlanta Falcons. It's all it takes. Falcons get nothing. And they lose, on top of that, draft picks. This is why it makes no sense whatsoever. Now, if you were going to say, all right, Falcons, we're going to trade our first round pick for a Khalil Mack if he was still there. All right, I can see how that would work. All right, Khalil Mack, for the most part, healthy. For the most part, he's when he's healthy, he's an all-pro lineman, and he adds to the pass rush. So we can kind of get away with things as far as like having subpar linebackers. You can get away with that when you got a elite pass rush with subpar linebackers. I mean, you can look at the Rams. The Rams are proof of that. Gotta start thinking that our opinions matters if you can't prove it. Your opinion is just an opinion. I don't care about your opinion. Everybody else don't care about your opinion. You gotta be able to prove that your point is worth something. Unless you just talking out your ass. And D. Coleman, Roquan is looking to reset the market. Darius Leonard is the high-paid linebacker with about $20 million a year. Lindstrom, he could need his money. And AJ, all those guys are about to get paid some big-time money. And Don, we legit just bought in a guy like Roquan Smith in 2020. Again, a guy that had good numbers with the with the Rams, and it failed. Pay him big time money and it failed. And Dante Fowler. It's the same thing. You gotta be able to win every trade. You gotta be able to win every trade. The only trade that the Falcons have won is really the Julio trade. And even with that, in my humble opinion, I think we kind of fumbled the bag on that because we should have got a number one for Julio. But being that it was the timing and his age, mostly the timing, we only got a second round for him. So like I said before, my thing is, like I said, I understand what everybody's opinion is, but if you can't prove that it's a good idea, then what are we talking about? NFL teams don't care about what your opinion is. You got to be able to sell them on the fact that this is a good deal for them. That's what Terry Fontenot's job is to sell the team that he's trying to offload a guy like a Deion Jones that this is a good deal for y'all. That's his fucking job. Because he can say all day that, hey man, Deion is a Pro Bowl linebacker, man. But the other team is looking like, bro, what you talking about here? All pro linebacker? The motherfucker just had shoulder surgery. You think I'm a fucking fool? Like, this is what we talk about opinions. Opinions don't mean shit. Your opinion of what a player is don't mean shit. You got to be able to prove that this player is worth said money and said trade assets. And I know that sounds harsh, and I know I got a lot of people in their feelings about, oh, it's my opinion, Mike, why you getting on me for your opinion? Don't matter. Because it comes down to it's football and it's business. You got to be able to sell to that team that said player is a great player. And if you can't do it, guess what they're going to say? Man, you'll get the fuck out my face. You trying to give me a what? Hold on, you trying to give me a 1 first round pick for Chris Leslie? Man, you don't get the fuck out my face. You trying to give me a what for Debo and he's an all-pro? He averages about 110, and that's on a low end, 110 tackles a season. You trying to give me a what? A 5th round pick for him? Man, you fucking crazy. So your opinion of what a player is worth is baseless. It's pointless. You got to be able to prove it. And based on his numbers, when you look at Roquan Smith's numbers, it's identical. Damn near identical to Deion Jones. Deion Jones is a better coverage linebacker. You look at the turnovers, he creates more turnovers as far as interceptions and forced fumbles. Yeah, Deion is ahead of him on that. So when we talk about Roquan Smith is just a high volume, stat guy. He's not giving you the turnovers. That's why guys get paid the $20 to $15 to $20 million because they turnover guys. I mean, we should know that by now because we're looking at one in Dallas right now. This motherfucker gave up 1,000 yards by his damn self. But he got 15 interceptions, so guess what? He get paid. He's so-called the top corner in the league. The big-time players get paid for 2 things: consistency and turnovers. And on the offensive side of the ball, limited turnovers. The top quarterbacks in the league get paid the big money because they don't make mistakes. The top defenders get paid for creating turnovers and being consistent. So Roquan is just a tackling machine who doesn't give you the turnovers. Why would I want to pay $20 million for that? And not to mention the fact that if you look at the Chicago Bears defense, who in the hell, the Falcons are like, if you look at that front line, all I can do is just say one name, 2 names, and they better than anything that we've had on the Falcons in quite some time. Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. Danny Trevathan. Do I have to keep going on and talk about Eddie Goldman, another guy who was the top 5 run defender? They had all of this on one team. Akeem Hicks. I could just keep on going on. The Falcons have never had that. So he had the same exact numbers that Deion Jones did with more. Deion Jones got those same exact numbers with less. Oh, you can look at it. The numbers are damn near identical. Not much separates those guys when we talk about numbers. He had 60, I think 90, I think he had 91 total. Roquan Smith had 91, he had 91 solo tackles. Deion Jones had 87, I believe. 87. So if a guy who has more talent around him, damn near getting the exact same number of solo tackles than a guy that doesn't have that talent, what are we doing? I'd rather keep Deion Jones. He's going to do the exact same thing for less money than what Roquan is doing. Roquan should have better numbers than what he had with the team that he had, the defensive player that he had. He should have better numbers, far better numbers. But when you look at his numbers compared to Deion Jones is damn near identical. Here's the proof that it won't work. Deion had an all-pro years when we had Dontari Poe, Jonathan Babineau. When they left, front seven started to the play started to stop. Yeah. Did anybody asking themselves what's the real reason why Roquan Smith won out? They ask yourself, why does Roquan Smith really want to want to leave? Because Khalil Mack gone, Eddie Goldman gone, Robert Quinn, I think he's still there. If I'm not mistaken, Danny Trevathan was released. I'm not certain, but I think he was released. And most of those players on the defensive side of the ball gone. Why the hell you think he went out? Why would Roquan Smith run out of a quote good team? See, I had this conversation earlier with the guys. And you're like, you have no idea that your comment is so flawed, right? So let me just read it out. Again, I know some people might be in their feelings about shit. All right, this is making sense of things, just asking questions about. I wish I knew an NFL GM to tell us who they think is better. Debo or Williams, a lot of money. They would pick Roquan. That's what I think. I can tell you, this is what separates great coaches and mediocre coaches. Because the great coaches don't give a fuck about which player is better. Okay? They don't give a fuck about which player is better. Why? Because they have one goal in mind. That if you can't play within their scheme and their system, your ass is gone. This is why Bill Belichick, year after year, you try to figure out why he always going through all these damn linebackers, and he ended up giving the guy with 15 sacks and then they want another contract. Why did he keep going through all these linemen? Why the hell do you think J.J. Watt is in Arizona right now? Most of these guys cannot fit in a scheme. They're not looking at players the way we look at players. They're looking at the player, how is this guy going to fit in my scheme? He's not looking at, well, oh, he's better than Deion Jones, or he's better than Darius Leonard. I'm going to pay him more money. That's not how they see it. So if a Darius Leonard does not fit in a system, then what fucking good is it to have a Darius Leonard? This is how coaches look at things. They look at how this guy is going to fit in our scheme. They're not looking at as who is better. And this is what we try to get people to understand. The scheme is everything. The scheme makes a player. When Michael Vick was here in Atlanta, Michael Vick couldn't do one thing. He did one thing well in the passing game. That was throw deep pass. But you had a guy that an old man, Chris Chandler, who couldn't run, had every pad on like every pad ever created known to man. He had all the motherfuckers on. But he was a far better quarterback than Michael Vick. Why? Because he fit the scheme. You have a Tom Brady that goes out of his way to recruit every wide receiver and tight end in the universe. But he's so-called the GOAT. But he got to recruit every wide receiver known to man to come play with him. Why? Because he knows that without wide receivers that fits what his scheme is, he is not Tom Brady. Players and coaches don't look at the game how most fans do. They're not wondering, all right, this guy's better than them. All right, we're gonna win a lot of championships. Because if that was the case, then the Falcons should have had 3-4 championships by now. Because we had the #1 wide receiver and quarterback duo in the league in the history of the game on one squad. If you just going by like, oh, this guy is better than that guy. Which guy fits my scheme best? And that is the question. How can I protect Roquan Smith if Roquan Smith's weaknesses are far more problematic than the Deion Jones' weaknesses is? Because I know Roquan Smith for what he is. Seen him play at the University of Georgia, and a lot of people can tell you that Roquan Smith was not as good when he had to go down. He was a guy that was you could move around. His NFL comparison was exactly Deion Jones. That's what his NFL comparison is. He was a smaller guy who had trouble getting off of blocks. But when you let Roquan roam free and do his thing, this is when you get the best out of him. And one of the issues that the Falcons have, and most teams have, is that they don't have a guy up front or a good front seven that's going to be able to keep him clean. So now you got wasted money. You just wasted $20 million on a guy that you can't even protect. It's essentially what the problem was with the Falcons and Matt Ryan. Yeah, Matt Ryan was making $50 million, but motherfucker, we couldn't even protect him. So what good is having a Matt Ryan if his ass is always on the damn ground? No, scheme don't work if you got great players. That's just not true whatsoever. I don't know why you people think that, but scheme makes players great. Okay? Schemes makes players great. Because if you can't fit within a scheme, then what point is it? Let me give you an example. Why scheme makes players great. And I'm going to tell you why that statement is problematic. Because if the Falcons decided, let's just say this, all right, you got a guy like, let's just say, I'll say Khalil Mack, all right? You got a guy like Khalil Mack at the helm. And he went from playing a 3-4 to a 4-3. So now his problem is he's not just simply there to rush the passer if he was in the 3-4. If he was in the 3-4, he's just there to rush the passer and occasionally set the edge for a running play if he was in the 3-4. But now he's in a 4-3, Khalil Mack has to be the edge setter almost every single play and get after the quarterback. And that's what led to a lot of his injuries, because now Khalil Mack has to be more physical because he's playing in a 4-3. He's going against these big offensive tackles and tight ends versus playing in a 3-4. And for the most part, he is in a 3-4. He's going against tight ends, and he's coming free for most of the time if he's playing in that. Two different things. A 4-3 and a 3-4 come two totally different things when it comes down to the physicality of the game. This is why guys like TJ Watt got 20 sacks, because TJ Watt don't have to worry about stopping the run. He don't have to worry about stopping the run. Why? Because he's the outside linebacker now. He's not a defensive end. You put TJ Watt at the defensive end position, you're not going to get the same player. So schemes make players, okay? Make no mistake about it. Scheme make players. That's not true at all when you talk about great players or great players. No great players. Every once in, like every 30, 40, 40 years or so, you might get a Reggie White. It don't matter what the hell you do with him, he's going to succeed. Like you're not going to get that a lot. There's a reason why Aaron Donald is considered the greatest defensive lineman of all time. Because it don't matter what the hell you do to him, he's going to succeed. In what scheme, what spot. This man lines up at every spot, and he's going to succeed. But even with that, you still got to consistently bring in the players that's going to highlight what he does well. Because if you got a whole bunch of guys that just get after the quarterback, then Aaron Donald is only going to shine most of the time if he's in pass rush situations. Because what the Rams did, they went out and got bigger defensive linemen so they could end up, giving them a break. Ashawn Robinson. They went out and got some bigger, like Robert Quinn, another big guy. When they had him, they had the kid Brockers. Like they went out and got guys that were physical and they could stop the run to highlight what he does well. But it's all within a scheme. So scheme makes players, schemes makes defenses. It's a reason why LeBron needs spot-up shooters around him. Okay? It's a reason why Steph Curry needs a Draymond Green around him. Because Steph Curry, for the most part, yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, he can play point guard. He can dish the ball. But Steph Curry is better suited as a shooter. So you need guys around him that can get Steph Curry the ball. That's what makes a guy like Aaron Donald so good. Even better than what he is, because he has the necessary pieces around him to highlight his skill set. Again, scheme. Players to fit in a specific scheme. Scheme is everything. It creates legends. And sometimes it get people contracts that don't even worth. Ha ha. Who am I talking about? Yeah. It creates certain players like Ray Edwards. Ray Edwards was good when he had them Williams boys in Minnesota. But you take away the Williams boys, he's just a regular Joe Smoke. Dante Fowler. Yeah, he was all good when he was with the Rams with him, but you take him away, guess what? He's nothing. So again, all this talking about, players and schemes and stuff like that. Schemes are everything, first and foremost. The scheme is everything. It's not, again, I want them to make this clear, because I don't know if I made this clear. It's not about not wanting Roquan Smith. The problem is bringing in a Roquan Smith, it's going to cost us more to get him than it actually is to just wait for a guy to develop, or just wait till he becomes a free agent. It's going to cost us more. It's gonna cost us way too much to bring in a Roquan Smith. I'd rather just wait to see what Dion is gonna be. I'd rather wait to see if the Falcons are like if a Troy Anderson is gonna be worth anything this year, than to go out of my way to trade my first round pick, second round pick, third round pick just to bring in a guy like Roquan Smith. Just makes no sense. You're giving up way too much. Like I said, I don't know where people got this idea that players are just great just because they great. Bill Parcells literally made a position for arguably the greatest edge of all time and pass rusher of all time. That's Lawrence Taylor. He created that position, that edge, that 3-4 outside linebacker. Because for the most part, everybody was running 4-3. It was very few teams that was actually running a 34. So what did Bill Parcells do? All he did was get a bunch of big guys to eat up space and let Lawrence Taylor get after the quarterback. Scheme helped create what we know today is Lawrence Taylor. Because if Lawrence Taylor was simply a defensive end and he had to stop the run, is he just as effective? I don't think so. He's not as effective if he had to constantly go against those 320-pound offensive linemen like Larry Allen, like Eric Williams. He's not as effective. So again, it's all about scheme. Guys gotta be able to fit within the scheme. It's the same reason why I tried to tell y'all from the very beginning that the Falcons were going to draft Drake London. Why? Because he was a perfect scheme fit for what the Falcons do. So like I said, we're going to go in depth a little bit more tonight. Wayne, what's up? How you doing, Wayne? Wayne Thomas. I would love to have a linebacker of that caliber, but the math and the timing just doesn't work. And that's what essentially what it comes down to. You gotta be able to pay for this guy. Ain't a damn thing free. Pro Bowls are not free, people. You got a 5-year window for the most part, and that's been a little bit. Honestly, you gotta like about 5 years to keep a player at his peak, and not like I said, that's on the high end. Because if you got a guy like Deion Jones nowadays, especially nowadays, and this is why I said with Kyler Murray getting paid early, this is not good for the NFL, and it's not good for teams, because now you're going to have these rookie players going to start asking for money based on their production. So if they feel like, I had a better, I call, let's just say for Kyle Pitts, for example. Kyle Pitts ended up having a year where he got 100 catches, 20 touchdowns. He can look at this team and say, well, look, bro, I'm not getting paid enough. I'm up here catching 20 touchdowns, 100 catches a season, but I'm only getting paid $12 million a year. He gonna look at y'all like y'all fucking crazy. And guess what he gonna do? He gonna hold out. Pro Bowls are not free. Great players are not free. You got to give up a lot. Especially when he becomes a Pro Bowler, which Roquan is. So you're going to give up a lot for Roquan. And you're going to pay a lot for Roquan. So, like I said, we're going to go in depth tonight with six-man K-Styles. Like I said before, I'm going to say this again. I don't give a flying fuck about your opinions. If you cannot prove it to me, then your opinion is baseless. It has to make sense. You got to show me, all right, this is a good deal for Atlanta. I don't do hopes. Organizations don't do hopes and dreams. They plan these drafts. It takes months, sometimes years, to develop a plan where, all right, in year 4 or 5, we're going to look for our quarterback. There's a plan that's been put in place to get said quarterback and put him in a position where he's going to succeed. This is why Matt Ryan is Matt Ryan today, because there was a plan put in place 2 years, okay, in advance. Mike Vick, when he went to jail, the Falcons lost. It was a 2-year plan to end up getting Matt Ryan. They built the defense. They built the offensive line. They brought in a running back in Michael Turner, and then they had great coaching staff. So it was a 2-year plan, 3-year plan. So it didn't happen overnight. Bringing in Roquan Smith is not going to turn us into a championship team, people. Bringing in one player will not make us a championship team, people. Okay? It's not going to happen. You need a team with depth. One of the reasons why the Falcons end up losing the Super Bowl is because, guess what? Depth crept up with us. We had a lot of injuries on that front, on our defensive line. And one of our best rotational players, Adrian Claiborne, got hurt. And then Dwight Freeney had to play more snaps than he did. Jonathan Babineau had to play more snaps than he did. Courtney Upshaw had to play more snaps. Grace Jarrett had to play more snaps. Okay? So, depth. Those guys got tired. You know, Devontae Freeman got hurt. Tevin Coleman got hurt. Devontae Freeman had to get more snaps. And we kind of know what happened after Devontae Freeman had to be more in pass protection. We kind of know what happened after that. So depth is vital, because what you don't want to do is put guys who are not good at pass protection in pass protection situations. You don't want to put a guy like Von Miller and say, Von Miller, go stop the run. You're wasting his talent. Okay? So scheme is everything. So like I said before, we're not one player away from getting to a Super Bowl. The ultimate, and let's just keep that real, all right? Let's just keep that real. We're not one player away from winning a championship. So if we make a trade for Roquan Smith, we're not going to a championship. Roquan Smith is not going to turn us into a Super Bowl champion. It's not happening. And like I said before, we're going to expand on this tonight. Head over to the six-man K-Styles channel, man. We're going to be going on there late tonight if he don't fucking fall asleep. Okay? If he don't damn fall asleep, we're going to be on at 8 o'clock. So head over to six-man K-Styles, man. Help him get to 1K. That's all I got to say about that, man. I already went longer than I wanted to. But all love, appreciation. and I'm gonna say it again because I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to say this. I and the NFL and players don't care about your opinions. You gotta prove everything through facts, stats, and history. Your opinion does not matter. If you cannot prove to me that this has worked in the past on several occasions, then your opinion is just your opinion. And you should just keep that shit to yourself. So like I said before, man, like I said before, y'all gotta prove it. Y'all gotta prove that your opinion is something that has actually happened before. That people just go trading and giving away draft capital and they end up going to Super Bowls. Because right now, I mean, we got one team that's like you can say, all right, let's just say, all right, the Rams are a team. Oh, they get everything, but yeah, the Rams right in position like now they don't have like I don't think the Rams are gonna be a very I don't think they're gonna be an elite team because one they don't have Odell, they don't have Robert Woods, they don't have Von Miller, they got an Asian quarterback, and if Cooper Kupp goes down, that entire team is fucked. Depth. Got to be able to keep those players. Got to be able to plug and play guys. Got to be able to plug those guys in. And right now, the Falcons are not one player away from contending. And it's, in my opinion, based on that, it's stupid to trade for a guy like Roquan Smith. So let me know what you guys think about that, man. Like I said, we're going to go live later tonight, 8 o'clock, 6-man K-Styles. Head over there. He's 5 away from 1K, so y'all help him get monetized because if anybody deserves this 6-man K-Style. So that's all I got to say about that, man. I already went over an hour, an hour and 27, almost an hour 30 minutes. Hey, it happens. So that being said, I'm out, baby. Peace.